Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Explainer. Today, we are cracking open a highly classified historical dossier to uncover the true architectural mastermind behind the Jedi Order. Now, you might think you already know the hierarchy of the temple, but trust me, we're about to completely reshape that perspective. We are looking at the foundational bedrock of this alternate timeline, and specifically, a figure whose absolute authority literally still radiates through every single marble corridor. I'm talking, of course, about everything regarding the legendary Good Grandmaster Nobes. Let's get right into it.
So here's our roadmap for the dossier today. We're hitting 5 main sections. First, the Supreme Founder's identity. Second, the Dictator's Emerald Arsenal. Third, Plagueis, betrayal, and family. Fourth, carving the sacred plaque. And finally, number 5, the Grandmaster's eternal renaissance.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the Supreme Founder's identity, beyond the grave. Before we get too deep into the lore, we've got to stop and ask a pretty fundamental question. Who actually owns the Jedi Temple? When you're walking down those towering halls, whose structural blueprint and ironclad decrees are you really experiencing? Well, to answer that, we have to define the man himself. Good Grandmaster Nobes is the Supreme Founder. He is the headmaster. He is the dictator. And yes, the ultimate owner of the Jedi Order. Guys, these aren't just fancy ceremonial honorifics. We are talking about absolute, unquestionable, totalitarian authority over the entire institution. He dictated every single facet of its existence.
But here's the absolute wild part. Good Grandmaster Nobes is deceased, yet his dictatorial aura is permanently etched into those marble corridors. So sure, physically, he's passed on, but institutionally, the guy is very much alive. His grand structural blueprint, his completely immutable laws, and his absolute ownership still govern the entire Jedi hierarchy from beyond the grave. It's like the ghost of his rule is literally inescapable.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Dictator's Emerald Arsenal, the Supreme Bow Staff.
You know, you really can't fully grasp a supreme dictator without understanding his weapon of choice. And Nobes, oh man, he wielded something truly terrifying. We're not talking about your run-of-the-mill standard lightsaber here. Nobes used a towering, heavily reinforced Jedi bow staff. And just look at these specs. It features continuous green kyber crystal emitters that run uninterrupted from the very top end of the staff all the way down to the bottom end. It's essentially just one giant, glowing, towering danger zone that totally defies all standard weapon logic.
Just picture this. When Grandmaster Nobes spun or planted this weapon, it projected an unbroken, double-ended sheath of blistering emerald plasma across its entire length. Imagine seeing that in the middle of a grand hall. It cast this incredibly intimidating green glow over the whole temple. It perfectly matched the supreme authority and absolute power of his rule, a constant blazing visual reminder that, hey, his word was final.
All right, Section 3, Plagueis, betrayal, and family, a dynasty built on scars. So why exactly did Nobes implement such incredibly strict, ironclad decrees in the first place? Well, we have to look back at the historical trauma that shaped his entire administration. Eras ago, way before this totalitarian structure was even founded, Nobes actually shared a super close historic bond of friendship with Darth Plagueis. But then, the fracture happened. Plagueis enacted the ultimate betrayal, completely severing their alliance forever, and not left a deep, foundational scar on Nobes. Because of the monumental cost of that misplaced trust, he locked things down. He established his ironclad decrees, and to ensure absolute loyalty going forward, he kept things strictly in the family. Grandmaster Nobes legally adopted Yoda to manage his institution.
The whole core of the Order is defined by this deeply personal family dynamic. On one hand, you've got Grandmaster Nobes, the adoptive father. He established the immutable decrees, he literally holds the deed to the temple, and he maintains supreme architectural authority. And on the other hand, you have Principal Yoda, his adopted son. Yoda is the guy who actually steps into the principal's office to manage the day-to-day operations and oversee the academic grounds. So the father dictates absolute law from on high, and the son dutifully enforces it on site every single day. It's a fascinating contrast.
Let's dive into Section 4, carving the sacred plaque, the ultimate legal loophole.
Okay, this is where the Grandmaster's absolute authority meets just pure, legally binding chaos. Anticipating the future, Nobes used that double-ended green plasma bow staff to permanently etch a sacred plaque right into the marble centerpiece of the temple, and the official subsection exemption 01-A reads, quote, "A Jedi should never ever be an idiot except for Sharkster," End quote. Now you might be laughing, but this isn't a joke. This is supreme, immutable law, literally carved into stone by the ultimate dictator himself.
Let's break down exactly how this translates into an absolute legal shield. Step 1. The Grandmaster establishes this immutable law. Step 2. Decades later, Jedi Knight Sharkster Crimson, who is the completely unhinged first Padawan of the legendary 9.1-foot-tall Master Skywalker, acts totally out of line with his green plasma antics. So, Step 3, Master Windu and the High Council attempt to step in and discipline him. But right, Step 4, the Council's hands are totally legally tied by the Plock. They literally cannot touch him. Why? Because the deceased owner of the Order specifically mandated his undeniable right to be a fool, no way around it. Which brings us to our final section, number 5, the Grandmaster's Eternal Renaissance, Reactions to the Flame.
So how do the current residents of the temple actually handle the blazing dictatorial spiritual revival of Nobes today? Well, if we look at a systemic breakdown, it reveals an absolutely incredible contrast. You've got Principal Yoda, the loyal adopted son, honoring the administrative legacy right from his office. Then, the towering 9.1-foot-tall Master Skywalker uses that structural discipline to keep his chaotic Padawan at least somewhat anchored. But then, there's Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. The overwhelming heat of the Grandmaster's dictatorial flame is so intense for Obi-Wan that it actually triggers his immediate defenestration protocol, meaning he literally yeets himself out of the nearest temple window just to escape it. And yet, looking at the bottom of the table, we have Sharkster Crimson, who is completely unfazed, just maintaining a permanent Hakuna Matata level of chill.
You see, Sharkster operates as this sole, legally protected exception to this entire renaissance. How does he do it? Well, he maintains an ultra-low cortisol baseline. So while Obi-Wan is out there literally launching himself out of windows, Sharkster is casually twirling his green lightsaber, the Caliber Cal. He's firing a matching green plasma DH-17 blaster, and he just glides right past the heavy spiritual heat of the temple on an invisible jetpack. The guy is entirely unbothered by the blazing legacy of the Order's supreme owner, all because he's wrapped warmly in his legally protected foolishness. It's honestly incredible.
Which leaves us with a final, lingering thought to close out our explainer today. How exactly does an institution survive, let alone function, when its absolute dictator is a ghost permanently etched into the walls, and its only legally protected member is the Order's officially certified resident fool? It's a true testament to the chaotic, beautiful, and highly structured reality of this alternate timeline. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into everything about Grandmaster Nobis, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.